Ever since Miyabi released in version 1.4, I've seen a surprising amount of people lament the power creep of Zenless. A lot of people seem to believe that 9 months after release, Zenless has already made old units like Ellen and Ju Yuan worthless. This shook me to my very core. Honestly, I completely disagree with this idea. Power creep is not a problem, at least not in the way that you might think it is. As of me making this video, we are currently in phase 2 of version 1.6. From a raw power standpoint, Miyabi is the strongest damage character in the game. And I'm just gonna say it right now, this is not a problem. Why? Simple. Content is not made under the assumption that you have and are using Miyabi. Part of the reason why Miyabi is so monstrously powerful is specifically because content is not made for her. If it was, she would be performing adequately rather than eradicating everything that dares breathe the same air as her. Instead, content is made for characters like Anbi, Jane, Harumasa, Ju Yuan, characters that, while strong, do not have the raw, destructive power of Miyabi. And according to leaks, neither will Hugo or Vivian, but of course that could change when they actually officially release. Miyabi is a demon because she's an outlier, not the norm. And there are 3 reasons for this. Reason number 1, she is the first god character of the game. Every gacha game has what I call god characters, not in the literal sense, but rather from a gameplay sense. These characters are always extremely powerful and are either the strongest or one of the strongest characters in their role: damage, healer, tank, support, etc. These units are usually released during special occasions, a big moment in the story, an anniversary, some special event. An example of this would be the recent 10th anniversary headliners for Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle. mihoyo goes so far as to give these characters a special name and role in their games. Impact Third has Hershers, Genshin has Archons, Star Rail has Emanators, and Zenless has Void Hunters. Miyabi is the first Void Hunter, aka the first god character of Zenless. Reason 2, she released as part of the big version 1.4 relaunch of Zenless. She was supposed to be a strong character that new and existing players could summon for and use for many versions to come. Finally, reason 3, she is an anomaly unit. Objectively, from a fundamental standpoint, anomaly units are stronger than attacker units. Now, the difference in power between anomaly and attacker deserves its own dedicated video, which I am currently working on, so feel free to subscribe to my channel, that way you get notified when that video releases. Throughout version 1.6, I have been testing out different teams to try and clear the various content the game has to offer. This is why I can comfortably say that power creep is not a big issue currently. The future is yet unwritten after all. In this clip, I am using Ju Yuan, Nicole, and Astra to 3-star Deadly Assault. Ju Yuan and Astra have their premium weapons with 0 duplicates. A very realistic free-to-play / low spending team. I only buy the $5 monthly pack, and I got both in their initial release. By focusing on breaking the legs to quickly stun the enemy and strategically using my ultimates, I was able to get 30,000 points. Keep in mind, you only need 20,000 in order to get 3 stars. Not only that, keep in mind, my Ju Yuan build is not perfect. Here is her equipment. At best, I'd say it's decent, and there's definitely some glaring flaws. Also, this is not Ju Yuan's best team, but through skill and strategy, I was able to get a great score. In this clip, I am using a Piper team with Lucy and Caesar. Once again, this is not Piper's best team, and sadly, I just barely failed at getting 3 stars. This was my first time using this specific team and made some mistakes. But with better execution, I definitely would have gotten 3 stars. The reason I'm using these 2 examples is to show that no, you do not need the most powerful meta teams with max duplicates and god equipment to win. You can use a wide variety of team comps as long as you take the time to properly build your characters and study the enemies. Gigantic, powerful meta teams or fun, wacky teams, the choice is yours. I think part of the reason why so many people think power creep is a massive issue has to do with their accounts. And let's be honest with ourselves, a lot of people who play gachas are not smart with their resources. Some people will summon on every single banner even though they are free to play, Some will do something called building pity, which is when they summon on a banner with characters that they do not want, which is something that I will never understand. It is stupid. Please stop doing this. It is not a good idea. You are simply risking getting a character that you do not want, and you are wasting resources. Others will only summon for waifus slash husbandos, disregarding team synergy. A frightening amount of people don't even know what their characters do. They don't play the training stages or read skill descriptions, so they are just running around the dark like headless chickens. This type of mindset is why this power creep fear exists.
Okay, this guy can go fuck himself. He can go fuck himself.
For example, the YouTuber Sonantis made a video complaining about how Miyabi ruined Zenless, and how the game was a mindless button mash where you need the new characters in order to clear any of the content the game has. Which is just a flat out lie. Throughout the entire video, he is purposefully not reading skill descriptions and chose not to play her tutorial. The entire time, he's just complaining about how he doesn't know what Miyabi or any of the characters that he uses does, but somehow it's the game's fault for not reading the skill descriptions or doing the tutorials? Like, what?
Easy, just pull the newest 5-star limited character, you're fine. I don't even know how to play her. That was my first time ever using her. What an easy game. I haven't even done the trial. This is the first time I've ever used her.
Funnily enough, he actually gets a better score with his non-Miyabi team using the exact same strategy I've been using since Astro release at the beginning of version 1.5. Also, he's just blatantly wrong because he's been complaining about HP inflation since version 1.7, and it turns out in version 1.7, enemies actually got their HP reduced. So, you know. This guy uses literally one of the worst possible teams you could use to fight this specific enemy and still gets an S rank. But yeah, no, sure, power creep, definitely a problem. His videos are so funny because he's blatantly disproving his entire thesis, which is the fact that Zenless Zone Zero is being ruined by power creep, and yet he's using underleveled team and bad matchups and still clearing content. Also, yes, this did just randomly become a Sonanta's call-out post because screw this guy. He's annoying and I hate him. He should burn in a fire. For legal reasons, that's a joke. Oh no, did I piss off the fanboys? Oh, I'm so scared. Anyways, did you know that there are specific things you can do in Deadly Assault to help increase your score? For example, breaking this guy's legs gives you an extra point per leg. In this one, you can activate Defensive Assist to apply a unique debuff and get extra points. Every Deadly Assault has stuff like this. But I've seen a staggering number of people that either ignore this or don't even know about it and simply brute force it. Which is something you technically can do if your characters are strong enough. Of course, power creep is going to seem like a big deal when you ignore all of the things that are supposed to help you out. Shiyu defense also has gimmicks to help you out. For example, in this specific rotation, activating Aftershock lowers the enemy's fire and electric resistance. And hey, would you look at that? We got a free pull for this update. Somebody who can activate Aftershock. Wow! This makes it so that everybody can take advantage of this gimmick if you are willing to develop your Pultra. But if you don't want to use this advantage, as long as you are smart with your summons and properly build teams, Shield defense is never going to be a problem. In versions 1.0 and 1.1, I used Korin and Juyuan to clear Shiyu. Then I swapped Korin for Piper in 1.2 and 1.3. And since Miyabi released, I've been using her and Juyuan to perfect clear Shiyu. Mostly because Shiyu isn't really that interesting with game mode and I just blast through it. Shiyu and Deadly Assault can still be comfortably cleared with standard 5-star teams if you want. However, they definitely need some decent equipment, but that's to be expected. Hell, I've seen people use Billy, Nicole, and Anvi to clear these modes. Granted, they definitely need god equipment to do something like that. That being said, enemies are slowly getting more and more health. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like power creep doesn't exist. I think a lot of people misunderstand what exactly power creep is. The existence of a strong character does not equate to power creep. Same thing goes with the fact that enemies are getting more and more HP. That alone does not equate power creep, because the characters that have been here since version 1.0 were able to keep up. Juyuan got access to Astra, which is a big boost in power for her. Yeah, Juyuan's singular raw damage is nowhere near that of Miyabi, but if you pair her up with Astra, then her power skyrockets. While enemies do have more HP, it's not to the point where characters are desperately trying to keep up. In order for power creep to really be an issue, the enemies need to be so powerful that pretty much any of the previously old characters become worthless and you desperately need the brand new shiny toy, aka the brand new character, in order to clear content. A lot of people think that's what Miyabi did, that Miyabi forced enemies to become so powerful that you need her. When that didn't happen, yes, enemies are slowly becoming more powerful, but there wasn't a big jump in enemy power when Miyabi released. Characters like Anby and Evelyn, the new 5-star damage characters we've gotten since Miyabi released, are objectively weaker than her, and enemies are made for those characters. So again, Miyabi didn't really power creep anything. My point is that while yes, power creep does exist, as long as you take the time to properly build teams and engage with the game's mechanics, it isn't a problem. Of course, that's easier said than done. Summons and equipment are both drowning in RNG. I've been slowly chipping away at my Ju Yuan since version 1.0, since I got her, and she's still got some horrid equipment. I'm also not saying that you should never voice your concerns. That would be ridiculous. If you feel that power creep is an issue, you are more than welcome to say so. And to that same extent, I'm allowed to voice my opinion that no, it's not currently an issue. I think this concern mostly comes from what is currently happening to Star Rail. That game is undergoing insane power creep, and some Zenless players are overreacting with Zenless out of fear and worry. Something to keep in mind is that in general, it is much easier to power creep a turn-based game than an action game. Star Rail is a very simple game. Attack, skill, ultimate. The player doesn't have a lot of options when playing. The raw power of a character is immensely important, as well as team synergy. But Star Rail consistently abandons its characters after they release. Year 1 characters like Kafka have not received any help since version 2.0 over a year ago, and new content is designed in a way where the player is punished for not using the new character. Star Rail does with its brand new characters what a lot of people think Zenless did with Miyabi. That, on top of the developers moronically, dramatically increasing enemy health, resulted in what we are currently witnessing. I said that really weirdly. I should re-record that, but I'm not going to. Characters and enemies constantly raise in power every single update. Zenless, however, has more player freedom, being able to dodge, counter, switch characters, and perform combos, giving the player the ability to tackle challenges in a wide variety of ways. And most importantly, Zenless doesn't have to sell characters on raw power alone. Different playstyles, mechanics, and gimmicks are much more varied and engaging. A good character design and gameplay style can easily sell a character even if they are objectively weaker than previous characters. Case in point, Evelyn and Anby. And because the developers don't need to worry on selling a character on raw power alone, enemy and player power creep won't be the sole focus to sell a character, unlike a simple turn-based game like Star Rail. That's not to say that turn-based strategy games can't have a wide variety of unique mechanics and gimmicks. They certainly can, but the Star Rail developers just simply choose not to do anything like that. They instead choose to focus on raw power and raw power alone. While yes, Shiyu Defense has special gimmicks that only specific characters can access, the player is given free character options, as well as the fact that these gimmicks are not mandatory. They're just small little bonuses that can help you out if you need it, but usually you don't. You can completely ignore them if you want in order to create fun team comps. And Deadly Assault's bonus point systems are accessed through universal mechanics, so you can freely challenge these stages however you want. Also, Zenless doesn't have global passives. Originally, this is where I was going to talk about how I really hope the developers consider buffing older characters in the future, once power creep has truly killed their usability. However, while I was writing the script for this video, a new developer talk was released. There was a brief but very interesting section about power creep.
Our team has put in quite a bit of effort to ensure characters are relatively future-proof and have long-term value. Showcasing a character's charm isn't just about mindlessly beefing up their stats. While maintaining each character's unique traits, we will strategically enhance their unique traits, rather than just simply boosting their damage output. For example, we'll supplement or even rework certain skills and their effects
They mentioned that they are keeping an eye on older characters and do have plans for making them relevant again. More specifically, they said that they didn't want to give them simple increased percentages to skills and ultimates. They wanted to go above and beyond and truly give them a second chance. Seemingly, the developers want to rework characters by giving them access to improved and brand new skills similar to what Korin and the other Hollow Zero characters have. This is something I've actually talked about since version 1.4. If I'm not mistaken, I've mentioned this twice. The idea of giving Billy, Ellen, and everyone else permanent access to their hollow skills in the form of a buff. Those who summoned for and invested countless hours into building these characters would get to once again enjoy their investments. What's so great about this is the fact that these buffs not only would make old characters with lively, clear content again, playing them will be like a breath of fresh air. It would feel like they underwent a training arc and we got to reap the benefits of their workout. What's crazy is that technically, as of me making this video, the developers have 8 reworks ready to go whenever they want. So it seems like the developers have been considering power creep for a long time and do not want to let it become a problem. I also greatly appreciate the fact that they are targeting both 4 stars and 5 stars. You're telling me Billy, Korin, Lucy, Ben, some of my favorite characters could get a second chance at relevance? That's awesome. Anyways, power creep definitely does exist in Zenless, but it's not this massive problem like a surprising amount of people think it is. And with the recent announcement of buffs / reworks, the future of Zenless power scaling is looking bright. Or maybe this is just me being delusional and my fanboyism is clouding my thoughts. Only the future knows, I suppose. Feel free to share your own thoughts in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like and subscribe. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider becoming a channel member for just $5 a month. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.